All right, grab your diapers, grab your pads, grab your dermaplots, because we're jumping into all of the things that I've put into my postpartum cart as a first-time mom. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're new. My name's Sierra and I'm a first-time mom, as well as a preschool teacher who is sharing all of my pregnancy and all of my pregnancy preparations with you guys, as well as vlogs, birth vlogs, vlogs when the newborn comes out, all kinds of good stuff. But today we are talking specifically about how I've been prepping for my postpartum period, for really my first postpartum period that I will ever experience. Period as in period of time, not the menstrual kind, but kind of the menstrual kind. I've seen a lot of women put together these amazing postpartum carts. If you're interested, I can comment back some of my favorite videos that I've watched with these, and from them I've gotten a lot of inspiration. Now, I am more of a minimalist at heart, although my decor might feel like that's a lie. And so I really wanted to see what the essentials are going to be, because I don't want to go out and purchase a bunch of different things and really only need to use some of them. And of course, my budget also, if I'm being completely honest, cannot sustain buying 50,000 perennial sprays that all do basically the same thing. So here's what I've come up with. In this little basket, I have just a little bit of everything that I need, but I do have some drawers that contain even more of these. So this is really just the top layer of the cake, and I will get into that later. The first thing you might see are these lovely heavy-duty pads right here. These are the maximum strength pads I could find of a brand that I've used before and I'm very comfortable with. I have a row of these, as well as, of course, I have the classic, the famous postpartum staple. I have diapers. I got the Always Discreet Boutique in the size small to medium. I am a small to medium in my clothes sizes normally, and so I went with that, even though I know that after you go through the postpartum period, you are a little bigger. The bump doesn't go away right away, of course. So if I need a bigger size, my husband can always run to the store and embarrass himself and get me some bigger ones. But to start, I do have these. I chose these instead of the mesh underwear that you can get from brands like Freedom Mom, because I would like that extra layer of protection for me specifically. Not that there's anything wrong if you do, but for me personally, I love the color white and beige, which makes containing everything even more important for me. I will be bringing some of this with me in my hospital bag, so stay tuned, because I'm going to be packing my hospital bag, as well as my husband's hospital bag, snacks, all of that good stuff in a later video. But I did go ahead and get the Frida ice packs, and here's why. My hospital doesn't provide ice packs like that, and the whole padsicle thing is amazing for home prep. If you want a more budget-friendly way to do this, go ahead and look that up. There are amazing women out there who have put out videos on YouTube on how to make your own padsicles, which are basically like this, except a slightly messier DIY version. The other reason that I did go with these instead is it is a slightly safer idea and option for me. I've heard that some padsicles have given people freezer burn, or if done improperly, can be very uncomfortable down there if you are heat sensitive, and I am a very heat sensitive person. So I've got 4 of these up here. I do have a couple extra that I am sticking in my hospital bag. I know that these will only be used about the first week, but having these available and readily available for me is going to be a major bonus as I go through this. The next thing I have is I have a row of little pads. So as the bleeding goes down, my plan is to start with the Discreet Boutique and the larger pads and slowly scale down. I have a medium-sized pad as well, to then the smaller pads. And then after that period of 6 weeks is over, if I have any residual bleeding, I do have a bunch of panty liners and regular pads that I would use from periods in my past that I do have saved aside. So as far as bleeding goes, I'm hoping that covers it. Again, it's one of those weird things where you don't know till you go through it. But for my research, this feels pretty good. The next thing I have, of course, is the lovely Peri bottle. I almost went with the Freedom Mom one because I had heard great reviews, but upon talking to a nurse who works in the birth and delivery unit, I ended up going with just regular one off Amazon. Now it is still in the bag because I do plan on sterilizing this with hot water before I use it down there. You have a big dinner plate sized wound, so any of this stuff that you're keeping down there, you want to make sure that any of the inside of it that's going to be touching your nether regions is going to be sterile and clean. That way we're not introducing any foreign bacteria into the area, and especially into that wound down there. I am not bringing one of these to the hospital because that is one thing that my hospital does provide. And I've decided that whatever they're giving, I'm going to use it and use it plenty. Next to this, I also have my Dermaplast. Now I know that Dermaplast is not the most organic, natural, crunchy version of this that you can get. However, as someone who is planning to have a natural birth and is planning to push what I just found out last week is a 99th percentile head out of me, I am planning on doing a little bit of less natural things to recover. Now I know that this makes me less of the natural crunchy mom than some other moms, and if you want, go ahead and watch some of their videos because oh my gosh, we have some amazing herbalists and amazing mom YouTubers who cover those things. But for me personally, I want that area numb, especially if I have some big tears. I want it as comfortable as possible so that I can enjoy rocking my baby and sitting with my baby and really soak in those newborn days. So that is something I'm going with. Along that line, some women use perennial sprays containing witch hazel and other herbs. I am sensitive to certain herbs, so I'm staying away from a lot of those and instead sticking with just some classic Tux pads. So in this little box right here, I do have my Tux pads. Now this is actually a container that I've been using throughout my pregnancy. At the beginning of my pregnancy, I went through a horrible period of nausea and I was prescribed Zofran, which if you didn't know, Zofran can have the side effect of constipation, and a lot of it, like more than a week before going to the bathroom kind of constipation. And that also causes hemorrhoids. So I know I have them and I know I'm gonna get more of them. There's no shame in my game with that. I'm keeping Tux pads on lockdown. I'm gonna be packing some in the birth bag, have some here. And that brings me to my final little category. Also, that whole time, I was holding on to my Poopery. This I just keep in the bathroom next to the toilet anyways. And so it's found its way in this lovely bag. This all brings me though to another section of all of this, which is things that are not in this that I'm making sure to have on hand before birth. Now, some of these things that I'm listing, I don't currently have and I need to go out and get, but the number one thing is stool softeners. I'm going to make sure I have stool softeners on hand and I start taking them immediately after birth. And this is okayed by my doctor. This was even recommended by a nurse that I was talking with. That way I can have the easiest BMs down there that I can have after birth. This is something that can be a little taboo to talk about, but it's completely normal for it to be very hard to go and very uncomfortable after you push a whole baby out. If you can get hemorrhoids from just straining with a regular movement, you can only imagine what can happen, and doesn't necessarily have to and won't necessarily have to, but the potential is that this can happen down there and it can make it very uncomfortable for a little while. So, stool softeners on hand. The next thing is I'm having a level up from stool softeners and I'm keeping Miralax on hand, just in case we are very uncomfortable there. That is one that also is okayed by my doctor. However, I will be following my doctor's guidance postpartum to how to treat that and what to watch out for and when it might be time to upgrade to the Miralax, because that sure does work for me and it works a little too well sometimes. The next thing is painkillers. Now, when I talk painkillers, I am talking about mild ibuprofen. For me, that's the most I've ever needed, but having a little bit of ibuprofen on hand is something I need to go out and get, because during pregnancy, you can't use ibuprofen. And so I haven't had any in the house in quite a bit of time. And so that brings me to the end of the medication section. Kind of medication related, but kind of not. Make sure you have a good postnatal. You can just keep taking your prenatal if you have some of that left, but you're gonna have a huge drop in nutrients. And this is something that I'm stocking up on beforehand as well. I am 33 weeks right now, so this weekend I'm putting some of the finishing touches on a little bit of this stuff, just in case little babe wants to come early. That way I don't have to freak out or have a postpartum experience that doesn't have all of the things I need. Moving on to this side of the postpartum area. This drawer right here is reserved especially for my breastfeeding supplies. In here, I have a hot-up, I have some breastfeeding bags, and I also have my electric pump. These are going to be included in a later video because my breastfeeding cart is not fully complete yet. But just as a sneak peek, I have some birth cloths here, I have a little bit of lanolin nipple cream, I have some breast pads, and a lot of that's going to be very, very important when it comes to postpartum care. One of the other things that I wanted to touch on before ending the video is I am doing a lot of mental care before the postpartum period. So for me, that looks a little different because I am high risk for postpartum depression. I'm high risk because I've had depression in my life before, and this is something that I've taken very seriously. So having a regimen of getting outside and exercising, getting fresh air, getting sunlight, and for me, that also looks like getting professional help from a licensed therapist. I started this in the antepartum period, or while I'm pregnant, and I'm going to be carrying on the same therapist in the postpartum period. This was essential for me to feel like I have peace of mind because although I don't have any depressive symptoms right now, for me, it was one of those things where I didn't want to risk developing them in the future. Now, I know this is a huge privilege to be able to do this, and therapists are not always covered by insurance. They are very expensive at times, and it's something that we have prioritized and budgeted apart for and ended up thrifting a lot of other things. That way we could afford this. Even if that's not an option for you, I encourage you to start your self-care now and make a plan with your significant other as to how are you going to navigate the postpartum period together. What are the roles of him versus the roles of you? What are things that he could support you with even if you're breastfeeding and most of the care ends up falling on you? Now, I've done a video in the past on how I'm prepping for labor, but some of those things as well I'm keeping going right now. Drinking red raspberry leaf tea has been essential for me, and I have a little trick for you guys for summer pregnancies if you're also pregnant and watching this, or if it's in the future and it's not even a summer pregnancy but you like a nice ice cold drink, because I'm one of those freaks who year-round drinks ice cold water. Even in the middle of winter in Colorado, in the Rocky Mountains, I love to feel like I'm drinking the glacier stream. Is that the best for my stomach? No, but it's better than not drinking water at all, so I've made peace with it. But lately, I've been drinking red raspberry leaf tea after it's cooled down over ice with lemonade, like an Arnold Palmer. You cannot tell the difference. It is amazing, and it's a great way to get that in. I also realized this whole video I'm leaning forward. My baby is currently kicking my back. If your baby is crazy like mine, go ahead and comment down below. Or if you had a crazy baby, my baby is kicking my ribs, they're kicking my spine, and most importantly, for me, they're pressing their head on my bladder, which means it is time to end this video. But I had so much fun talking with you today. I hope you go ahead and like and subscribe so that you can follow along with me and we can keep being friends and having these chats. I love posting these videos and including vlogs and things like that because for me, as a mom and as a first-time mom, I also am watching these videos on the internet. I am doing the same thing that very likely you're doing of watching other people's pregnancies, finding out what I have to look forward to, watching old videos of other people's pregnancies and thinking about my crazy first trimester. And also, I remember watching them before I was even pregnant to just think about what it would be like and what I would experience in the future. But with all that being said, I've rambled on enough, and I hope you are having a fabulous Friday wherever you are, and that it's less hot than it is here. And if you are pregnant, go ahead and tell me down below when you are due and any details of that, and I will try to comment back to every single one that I get. I will be seeing you in the next one. Bye. Normally I cover the camera, but I have to like get up, which, oh, see, I have sound effects now, and then I have to waddle over, and then finally I can do the thing. So I don't know if I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'll do it.